Welcome in to the Wes and Gabo show. I'm Wes.
And I'm Gabo.
And today's episode is number 3, and we're going to be discussing the top 10 must-watch shows out right now that you should be streaming. And these are going to be 5 of yours.
My top 5 and your top 5.
And my top 5. Since the pandemic hit, it feels like a long time ago.
Yeah.
I guess it was a little bit. But, 2
years.
There's been an influx in TV watching, shows, movies, that kind of thing. And we've come across a lot of good ones, but I think the 5 that I picked were ones that I gravitate towards most. I mean, there's probably 30 or 40 shows if I can count. Yeah. But I would say that these are going to be ones that, some of them are, it's not that they're all being made right now. Some of them are a little older, but these are the ones that we recommend you watching because they are right on point.
Also, I want to mention that these top 5 shows, they're not like let's say, Breaking Bad is not there. Even though it's one of my favorite, we try to pick shows that probably they're not too popular, but they are. But it's not like Breaking Bad or Ozark or any
the popular ones. These are kind of some hidden, I don't even want to say gems, because some of these, like, you all probably already watch, but we wanted to highlight if you haven't already, and if you're looking for something to watch, and these are
there's no
perfect.
Game of Thrones or
right.
I know you love
House of
Game
Dragon,
Thrones.
Like that's obvious, right? Like everybody's flocking to watch those shows, but these are kind of like
Stranger
a little bit
Things.
a little bit more hidden gems.
Let's start it.
So I'll start off with my number 5 is going to be Yellowjackets. And you've never heard of Yellowjackets before,
Well,
right?
you mentioned it before.
Yeah, so
Which streaming services?
this is it's on Showtime. I'm not sure if it's HBO Max or if you have to, I'm not sure how to access it. I don't remember because it's been a while. They are, I think, creating season 2 right now, and some of the actors include for the first season were Christina Ricci, Melanie Linsky, Tawny Cypress, Juliette Lewis. But for the second season, I saw Elijah Wood is going to be on the dock. So that should be interesting.
I only know Christina Ricci from The Addams Family and Monster with Charlize Theron.
Yeah, that's right. Monster was wild. And, Christina Ricci plays a way different role in this one. And I'm going to try my best not to give any spoilers, just kind of fill you with inspiration to go watch it. But, those are some big names. And so the premise of the show is that this high school team of women soccer players they're very talented and they're very tightly knit. They crash land in a remote area. They don't really tell you where it is, but it kind of the filming style is interesting because it's, if you like Lost, you're gonna like Yellowjackets because number one, there's like this very mysterious and dark undertone to it, and there's something unknown that is I don't want to give too much away, but in that regard, it's similar to Lost, but it's also similar because the majority of it takes place in modern day, but a significant portion of the show is like flashbacks because this happened when they were in high school and then they're grown up, and there's kind of like this weird dynamic that hits, and it's sort of like this part survival, part psychological thriller. Keeps you on your toes, and it's very interesting.
Without any spoilers, you mentioned Lost. I've never seen Lost, but I know weird things happen in the show Lost. Is it same on this show, Yellowjackets, or is more like a realistic?
I would say it's a mixture of both.
Okay.
You also get kind of like Lord of the Flies vibes, right? There's this element of like
Lord of the Flies. I watched that movie when I was like 10, and it terrified me.
Yeah. Did you read the book?
I didn't read the book, but the movie was like, I was a kid, and it really for me was like the most horror movie.
It messed you up?
It messed me up, yeah. Especially when I mean, pretty sure a lot of people have seen it, but when they throw the big rock to this guy,
Piggy.
this kid, yeah, that scene's still in my mind.
Yeah. And it's so interesting how, and I'm always interested in the psychology of people, especially in certain environments. This is really like one of those go back to the roots, like observe how people behave when there's no technology, when the, survival is the ultimate versus, comfort. So it's a really good show that I highly recommend checking out, and, look forward to streaming that. It's a Showtime show, so you probably are going to have to get like HBO Max to access it, and they're working on season 2, so I look forward to that.
I'll give it a try.
What's your number 5?
Well, my number 5, it's a pretty recent show. It's called Mo. Mo is the name of Mohammed Amer. He's a Houston comedian, and it is pretty good. And this, I put it as my 5 because where is the show made? It's in Houston. The entire show is made and shot in Houston, and that's what I like about it. It's cool to see like a Netflix production show made in Houston. They finally, right? The guy is so funny. He's a stand-up comedian. He's from Palestine, and when he was a kid, he moved with his family to Houston and grew up in Houston, right? So the show is kind of like based on his story about how they fled from Palestine. No, they didn't flee from Palestine. They were in Kuwait. So they flew to Houston, and it's basically about him and his childhood and the struggling of him of like trying to take care of his family, right? His main goal is to get his family their green card. But the show it has some sad moments, but it's super funny, the show, and he's a comedian, right? Yeah. So that's what I like about the show, because it's cool to see. They did a lot of shooting near to my house, and it's cool to see. Like, I live like just two streets down. I live
2 streets down.
2 streets down, and that's cool to see like the places you drive around in a show like this. The last episode has only been 1 season. I don't know if they're gonna release another season. I'm pretty sure they're going to do that. The last show, it was kind of like, when they're in these shows, when they are trying to, there's something's gonna happen in Mexico, so they're trying to recreate how it's to be in Mexico, and it's awful. Like, I don't know if you've seen the new season of Cobra Kai.
I don't think so.
Okay, so some of the episodes they're going to Mexico, and it's awful, dude. Like the way they're trying to recreate Mexico is like, no, that's not how Mexico is. Yeah. Right. So it's the same thing with the last episode of Mo, where he's in Mexico, and it's like, that's not Mexico. Yeah. Right. It's a pretty cool show. Watch it. Very funny. Mo it's a very funny comedian. The show is good. You'll laugh. You'll feel sad, but most of all, you will laugh. And I really recommend it, especially if you're from Houston, right? Yeah. And it's cool to see that those kind of shows are made here and in your city where you at. Yeah. Because, usually it's like in Texas will be Austin or San Antonio, but not Houston. So that's what I like the show. Yeah. And it's pretty well done. It feels like they have a lot of inspiration from Better Call Saul. The way the show is made, the cinematography or the coloring, it feels like it has a very Cold Soul vibe. That's what I like.
Is that the same as Breaking Bad too, or
same
kind of vibe?
A lot of like contrast on their shots, and that's really cool.
I've actually heard a lot of positive things about Mo. I know a couple people that watch the show, and my friends that are from Houston. That's an interesting dynamic. It's unfortunate that the depiction of Mexico isn't up to snuff, but what is cool is that like you said, we finally get a show that's based in Houston, and it's surreal when you watch it, because in shows and movies they tend to like romanticize the area, the city, whatever, and you get this like, if you've never visited the city that it's been filmed in, you can only imagine, right? Yes. And it's cool to see Houston and like parts of Houston depicted in a show like that.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Pass by there every time.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
That's my number 5, and yeah, just watch it. It's not like I pick it because of that, right? But it's not one of my top 5 shows. It's only been one season, and I can't say it's one of my top 5. I just choose that one because of the fact that it's made in Houston and it's very well done and it's funny and that's why I picked.
But it made the list.
It made the list.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll see. Yeah. Let's see how season 2 and if there's any season 2, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my 5. Now,
cool.
Number 4.
Yeah. So my number 4, and this is actually probably going to be a really niche. I never know how to say that. Niche. Dude, if someone says niche, it makes me want to kind of punch them in the face. But whatever, I'll say it. Niche to Dexter fans. So Dexter, New Blood. This is, and you know, I'm trying not to give any spoilers away. I saw this got a lot of flack, but I really enjoyed it. I was a huge Dexter fan back in the day. And you know, the show takes place, New Blood takes place like 10 years after the disappearance of Dexter in the hurricane. I'm sorry if I spoiled it for you just now. You know, he was presumed dead, and I think it left a lot of bad taste in the mouths of Dexter fans, right? It was a terrible ending. I remember being pissed off, but when New Blood came out, I think they rectified it and they totally redeemed themselves in my mind. It's a different director. It's got a little bit, you know, so if you're more of a, what is it, like, not a traditionalist, but a purist, like somebody that really enjoys, you know, the themes and the theme song and kind of like the format of the old show. Temper your expectations a little bit. It's going to be a little bit different. But
that's what I want to ask you. So it doesn't feel like a Dexter show because, you know, when they change directors in movies and shows, changes, right? The vibe and the type of show or movie it is. So it feels different. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a lot of cool, like, literary themes and cool things. Like, if you're a nerd like me, you see, like, oh, this is a completely different dynamic than the old Dexter, but they're paying attention to the storyline. It's filmed and produced a little bit differently, but there's some of the same cast of characters, and it's like, it's a really fun ride. It's only one season. And I'm not going to tell you why it's only one season. I don't know if they're coming out with a new season, but it was something that I really got a kick out of, and it's cool to, you know, bask in the excitement of like an old love, right? Like an old love show. So I'm going to put that one in, and you know, Michael C. Hall is obviously Dexter, and so he's in there. But you also have Jack Alcott. I'm not sure whatever other movies he's been in. I know I recognize him though. And then Julia Jones. So it's a really good one. I recommend it. It's on Showtime. So I believe that's going to be HBO Max as well.
Yeah.
So what's your number 4?
Well, first, I never liked Dexter. I tried the first 2 episodes, and I think it's because at the time Breaking Bad is out the same time. It was the same time, and I feel like I was expecting to see something more like Breaking Bad, so probably that's why I didn't like it. And I don't know, I felt it like cheesy, and like I wasn't like very interested on watching it. Maybe also that because when you came with the idea of like, oh, everybody's saying it's cool, right? So I'm gonna watch it, and then I tried to watch it, and it's not really what I thought it was. I just stopped there. Second episode, and that's it.
That, you know, sometimes it takes a little push. Like I remember initially watching it and not liking it, and then one of my friends was like, "No, dude, you need to commit to it." And then afterwards, I was like, "Okay." So it is very much an acquired taste. It's a strange thing because, you know, I'm not going to give away any spoilers by saying this, but like Dexter he's a serial killer essentially, but he only kills people who deserve it. Like there's a strict code that he lives by, and it's like really interesting dynamic because you see how this
but also he's a forensic investigator,
right? And so he works for so like what
law
more
enforcement.
what what better position to hold as an undercover serial killer than he's a blood spatter analyst, right? Because he's obsessed with blood. But it's an acquired taste. It's Dexter is a strange. It gives you a strange feeling because you're rooting for a serial killer, but he's good. I don't know. But anyway, enough about Dexter. Let's hear about your number 4.
Okay, my number 4 is going to be Black Summer on Netflix. So Black Summer is about zombies. So basically it's a post-apocalyptic world, zombie outrage. And what I like about the show, okay, first of all, the actresses or so they have Jamie King. She was on White Chicks and Sin City.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those blonde girls. And she's the only one I recognize on the show. Because most of the actors, I don't know them. I've never seen them before. I like this show because I know it's kind of like a realistic zombie show. I'm coming from seeing Walking Dead and all of those. And at some point, Walking Dead became very, like, to me, they stopped caring about the story and they just wanted to show cool stuff that will happen if you're in a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
It comes from a comic book, so it's fine, right? But I think The Walking Dead at the beginning, I like it because it felt like realistic, right? And Black Summer is like that. It's like a realistic zombie show, and they're focused not on the zombies, but on the actual threat, which is like other people alive. Like they start forming like gangs and groups, and they start attacking each other for food, for guns, and they focus on that. That's what I like. And they focus most of all in this lady and her daughter, which is Jamie King character and her daughter, and she's her main goal is to protect her daughter and stay alive. And that's a really cool way of how they interact each other, the mom and the girl, because the girl is like, I can help, I can protect myself, I can help you, and she will
coming
kill.
Of age.
And the mom will be like, you're my daughter, I can't see you doing that, right? But at the end of the day, she has to also protect herself because her mom is not going to be there all the time.
Right.
So that's the show. Mainly it's like following these two, the Jamie's King character and her daughter, along the journey to escape somewhere, right? Somewhere where they can be safe.
So is this a Netflix show?
It's a Netflix show, and I think there's 3 seasons so far.
So interesting thought about that is, number one, like, I totally agree about The Walking Dead. That was such a smash hit. I feel like through the 4th season or 5th maybe. And then the show itself became what I would only describe as a zombie, because it's like the show died, that's a good point. And they tried to keep it alive. Keeping it alive and kind of draw it out and kind of ride the wave of like the fandom. And they didn't have a direction. They didn't have a storyline. I think the story because Walking Dead is actually a graphic novel.
It is, yes.
And it has an ending. Right. Yep. And so I think they just kept on going through it. And then the zombies could whisper some shit. I didn't even like pay attention. I was like, this is so bad. But I think within like the last quarter of a century, all these post-apocalyptic movies have the same theme. With what you're talking about, which is like the real threat is not the thing that made the end of the world. The real threat is like how people survive and the threat of others, and in that regard.
Sorry. Now, I don't know if in the show there are zombies because they don't mention the zombie word. I don't know if it's something like, remember 20 Days Later? So they're not zombies.
Love that one.
They are people with
rage.
Yeah, rage.
Filled with rage.
So they're not zombies. They're just like infected with some type of virus, right? This one feels like it's the same case. They're not zombies, but they are infected with some type of virus. That makes them crazy and wanted to kill. So that's my
number 4
show. If you like zombies, watch it. if you like zombies, watch Train to Busan, South Korean movie about zombies. Awesome movie. Cool. I think it's one of my favorite zombie movies.
We'll talk about that on another video for sure.
So, number three.
Number three. My number three is going to be, and I love this show, The Bear. This show it's a Hulu show. I think it's a Hulu original.
It is.
And this show is, first of all, if you've ever worked in the service industry, this show is for you because it's like kind of, it's realistic, it's raw. It like shows the drama that happens behind the scenes of, behind the kitchen, behind, all of that stuff. And it's got parallels to anybody in the service industry because, you have to put on a face and then behind the scenes, you're kind of like, kind of frantically moving around. And it's really, really fun. But it's about a young chef from kind of like upper scale fine dining, like he is a very well-known chef, and he returns from that world to Chicago to take over and run his family's sandwich shop. And all of this drama happened. I mean, I don't want to give away any spoilers. It's just a really well-written show. It's got, I would say it's a dramedy, and it's a drama and a comedy in the sense that, people say comedy and you think like, oh, it's funny. I mean, it's got some funny moments, but comedy, I think what comedy really means is like everything works out in the end. There's it's not tragedy. It's the opposite of a tragedy, right? And so it's got everything. It's got every emotion. It's got like surprise and anger and like deep, like regret and inspiration and sadness, and like you see some people go through some stuff, right? And I was really disappointed at the end of the season because I was like, when is the next season coming out?
Oh, okay. Not because of the show, but because
it's really good. It's got, the main character is Jeremy Allen Wright. He's in Shameless.
Yep.
He's one of the brothers.
I've never seen the show, but I know.
Yeah, it's got John Bernthal as well in it, who's he's from The Walking Dead. Speaking of, and The Punisher. He didn't play a big role in there, but those are kind of some big hitter names in the show, and it's something that I highly recommend.
Sorry, John Bernthal it's Shane on Walking Dead.
Shane,
and The Wolf of Wall Street.
Was he in The Wolf of Wall? Oh,
yeah,
he had the goatee, right?
Yeah.
He's, by the way, quick side note, he's got a really good podcast called Real Ones.
Really?
And you should really check out the one with Shia LaBeouf. Dude, I'm really proud of Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Go watch that one, Real Ones. Anyway, I digress. What's your number three?
My number three is going to be... I lost my list. The Dropout. On Hulu.
That's a good one.
So The Dropout is a story about Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. Theranos. So the main actress is Amanda Seyfried. She's great.
Yeah, she is great.
She's really good by making the impressions of the Elizabeth Holmes. It's amazing. So for those they don't know what it's about Elizabeth Holmes was a dropout from school. She started this company called Theranos, and the company was like they building this device which will make tests. You can say there were tests.
Yeah,
like
blood
tests.
Blood tests.
Like you'll say the main goal was to have these devices, compact devices, in each of the big pharmacies across the country. One of them was CVS. So the idea was you'll get the results of your test basically next day. Test they can show like cancer, like all of anything that show in your blood will show it like the next day. So it was like an easier and faster process. That was the idea.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. It was what the value proposition for that was. It didn't, because typically when you do an analysis like that, they have to take a lot of blood. This was just one little prick, right?
Yeah.
And
And they will like, so basically, and the main point of the story is like not only that, but the way she managed to convince very powerful people, millionaires and politicians. That's the most impressive part of the whole story, that she managed to convince all these politicians to back her up on her business, right? Her idea of like this groundbreaking new technology. And I mean, this on the news, at the end of the day, everything turns out to be like fake, and it was basically all like what she was saying that she was doing wasn't. Like, she was lying. She lied to a lot of people in order to like try to push her product and make it work, which never worked. And really good. The acting is great. Amanda Seyfried is great. And has been only once. I mean, I think there's gonna be more seasons. It's just one and done. Yeah, it's kind of like a docuseries, you can say. No, it's not a docuseries.
No. There is a docuseries, though, and you should check that out if you don't know the story of Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes. That will put into perspective Siegfried's acting. Man, this girl is strange.
Yes.
Like, I think she has some sort of like social issue.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. She grew up in Houston.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're picking Houston shows over here with Mo, and now she didn't make her fame in Houston.
No. She moved to California. Yeah. That's where she started.
Yeah.
And I'm not defending her because what she did was very wrong. The way she lied, the way is wrong. But what I kind of like admire is her determination to like, I want to make it happen. I'm gonna make it happen. But obviously with lies and the way she did it, obviously wasn't a good idea.
I didn't think. I agree with you. I don't think I feel bad for her, because I don't think she intentionally set out to like scam people. I think she had a vision and she was relentlessly pursuing that.
She was running out of time.
She ran into a lot of issues that she kind of got herself into a bind. But let's let the viewers watch it.
Yeah, watch it. It's pretty good. So that's my number 3, The Dropout on Hulu. And what's your number 2?
All right, so we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back and start out with our number 2.
Sounds good. We'll be right back.
Bye. All right, welcome back. Let's go ahead and kick off our number 2. So my number 2 is a show that is not complete yet. Not even the first season. I think there's only 6 episodes so far, but it's so good. It's on Hulu. It's called The Patient. And you know me, I'm into like psychology and, serial killers and all that kind of stuff. So this is a really interesting show. It is.
What do you mean you are in psychology and serial killers?
Like, I'm into observing it, not
I shouldn't
partaking
be worried,
in it.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Come on. It's just interesting to me how the mind works in the darker parts of the mind. Anyway, it's Steve Carell is a psychotherapist. Okay. And he recently lost his wife, and he finds himself held prisoner by this
patient
serial killer.
Is his patient?
No, it's not. Well, not yet. Right.
Okay.
So, he's been given this like unusual request to curb this serial killer's homicidal urges. So the show starts, he's a captive. And it's just so good. First of all, Steve Carell, the dynamic of him is interesting because it's, if an actor or an actress plays a character for so long, you kind of identify them as that character, right? And it's hard for them to break off. You see that with like, what is his name? John Heder, the dude, Napoleon Dynamite. Like, he's always going to be Napoleon Dynamite.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So Carell is like the funny guy from The Office.
He's always going to be
the 40-year-old virgin.
Well, I would say he's always Michael Scott, right? From The Office. At least that's what I perceive him as. This is a very serious role. And
he's good at it.
He's very good at it. He's very calm and introspective. He plays like a psychotherapist really well. And it's interesting because the show, again, I'm going to try my best to not give any spoilers or give too much away, but he's constantly reflecting on like his life experiences and things that have happened to him in the past, because he's the main character. But so you only see pretty much everything through his perspective. And it's interesting how his past experiences guide him through this whole situation. And I think there's a new episode every Wednesday. And like I said, it's not complete yet, but it's good enough that you should check it out.
Hulu.
It's really good. Yeah, it's a Hulu original.
I watched the first episode.
Okay, so it's pretty good. So it's him, and then it's also Domhnall Gleeson. He was in Ex Machina. He was also like one of the Weasley brothers in Harry Potter. I think he was in like a Black Mirror episode.
That's him?
Dude, do you know the Black Mirror episode?
Him?
What?
I didn't know it was him.
From what?
From Ex Machina.
Oh yeah, it is him. Do you know that episode in Black Mirror where the husband of a woman dies and she misses him so much, so she orders like it's like a robot of him?
That's the first season.
And yeah, she unpacks it and he's like,
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen that one?
Oh, okay. I haven't watched season 1.
Anyway, he's the robot in that one. So I recognize him from a lot of different ones, but I'd say this one is like...
He's in Star Wars.
Yeah, he's in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good actor. And he plays this role really well. So The Patient on Hulu. Yeah, I would highly recommend. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time. And they leave you with cliffhangers every single episode. And it's just like a very well done thriller style show that's just very captivating. Cool. So that's my number 2. What's your number 2?
My number 2, it's a show on Hulu called Dopesick. So Dopesick.
Oh, Dopesick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dopesick. So basically, Dopesick is based on the opioid addiction in America, and it's based on true story. So it's about this company called Purdue Pharma. They were big, like they were one of the most important producers of drugs or medication, right? Back then, because I think they are bankrupt after this crisis, because there was a lot of litigations against them. They basically bankrupt, right? No one of the family, because it was run by a single family, the Purdue family. None of them are in jail right now. They are just free. And the show is about how basically they started the opioid epidemic, right? And the way they push for their products to sell their products, right? How they like work around to like pass the approval from the FDA, how they work with people from the FDA to approve their medication. It's just amazing how people like this they're not in jail, right? Millionaires, billionaires, they're billionaires. They even have like their special galleries inside big museums. Like they have their own collections in Washington D.C. and other places. It's a great show, and it follows the story of people who got addicted to the opioids. Basically on how do you call this region where there's a lot of like mining? The Appalachians? No.
The Appalachians.
The Appalachians.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So people there, especially with people that used to work on mining, they got injured, right? Because it's a very tough work to work on the mines.
Yeah.
So basically, most of the people who got addicted to opioids was from there, because they will like just prescribe opioids to them. And it's based on true story. They have Michael Keaton, Batman.
Oh, nice.
Michael Keaton is like great. He's a doctor who got hooked and addicted to opioids in the show. He's basically prescribing opioids.
And he's using.
And he got addicted. It's amazing. His acting is great. And also they have this guy from... he's going to be in a Marvel movie. What's his name? Potter? Remember We Are the Millers? The dorky kid?
Yeah.
That's him.
I love
That's
that
him.
kid.
He's on We Are the Millers,
Okay.
and he's on The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that's right.
He's in the show. He's kind of like one of the salesmen for Purdue,
Oh, okay.
and he sees that what's going on, and he doesn't like what's going on. He's one of the
Like kind of protagonist, sort of.
protagonists. That he's actually the Michael Keaton's character agent for Purdue.
Oh, okay.
So it's a really good show. It's very sad, very very sad, and it lets you this feeling of like, man, like this is so messed up.
Yeah.
Like these people, they're not in jail. They just like basically they're free and enjoying of their millions after they did so much bad to a whole country. It's just like very upsetting. Very upsetting.
Yeah.
And good show, great show. Watch it on Hulu. There's no seasons. It was only one
kind of series.
that kind of series.
Okay.
And yeah, that's my number 2.
Okay. And I've been meaning to check that out too. So
Watch
you're
it.
not, like
It's
you're
really
the 7,000th.
very well done.
Yeah, 7,000th person that has recommended that. You said it takes place in Appalachia?
Well, it takes place on I will say the Midwest.
Okay.
I think it's the Midwest.
Because I was going to say, dude, like the Appalachian mountain range, like that's like a third world country. There's like another documentary about like basically, I think it's like something about drugs.
It's the poorest area in the country. Yeah.
Mountain Dew mouth.
What is
and
that?
all, I don't know. It's like terms that I've heard that are associated with that. But like, Theo Vaughn like makes fun of that a little bit.
Yeah.
But cool. I'll check that out.
Watch it. So that's my number 2.
All right.
And let's go to your number 1.
Okay, my number 1. This is not only a top streaming show to watch right now, but this is one of my all-time favorite shows. It's so good. You have to check it out. They are in the middle of, I think, filming season 4. But that is Succession. If you've not seen Succession, I highly recommend checking it out. You're going to be able to find it on HBO Max. It's got a ton of big hitters. Brian Cox is in it. Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin brother.
Yeah. Alan Ruck, Sarah Snook, Matthew McFadden. This show, so it's kind of like a dark comedy where, and I typically describe it as, so first of all, let me tell you the story. The story is, it's about this very extremely wealthy family called the Roy family. And they are kind of the biggest media and entertainment company in the world. And, the whole premise of the show is that, Mr. Roy, who is ahead of this empire, he is stepping down and he's looking for his next successor of all of his children. And it's this like corporate Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I'm really drawn to it is, we both worked for Hearst Media back in the day. And it just like a lot of the vernacular and the way that they talk and what they're kind of the nomenclature that they use, like it's all very much much like that. And just, it's the power dynamic reminds me of Hearst, and it's also kind of an insight into like how like easily corrupt people can become in pursuit of power, and like you get this kind of view at this upper echelon of like society where it's like, oh man, there's a lot of psychopaths in this echelon. Like they don't give a what about stepping on toes, ruining other people's careers. It's like they're all stepping on each other to try to get to the top, and it's keeping you guessing. The very best part about that dynamic though, of like them trying to compete for being the successor to their father's legacy, is you quickly realize who is truly in control the entire time. And it is keeping you guessing. It's got, every Kieran Culkin is hilarious in that movie. He's so vulgar. It's like a very vulgar show, but and very dark. Yeah. But it's like, I highly recommend it. This is like one of my all-time favorite shows. You know, my fiance and I have been waiting for this next season to come out, and I think
it's only one season.
No. There's 3 seasons.
3 seasons, right?
And it's very, you know, there's not a lot of action that happens. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of dialogue, but it's like so compelling. Yeah. I don't know. It just kind of draws you in. So that's going to be my number 1. You can find that on HBO Max, and I highly recommend. I think Will Ferrell actually helped produce it.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah. It's very, very good.
I watched episode number 1, season 1, number 1. And also in episode 1, they show that a relative shows up, like a nephew of the guy, something like that, right?
That's a real okay. So another dynamic to the show is that there's no main character.
Okay.
It's very much like Game of Thrones style in that regard, where like you get deep understanding in different parts of different seasons, like each person's backstory and kind of like their pursuit and everything like that. You're talking about cousin, I can't remember his name, really tall, lanky guy. He's goofy.
Yes.
That's a fun dynamic to watch because he comes in as like this idiot and you know he wants a piece of the pie, and you see him slowly become more competent.
That's what I was going
kind
to
of like get his power. It's really cool.
From the first episode, I thought this guy is going to be important.
Cousin Greg.
On the rest
Greg.
on the rest of the show. So he's still there.
And then there's one that's kind of like he's outside of. He works with Cousin Greg a lot, and he's done a lot of work. He's with Logan Roy is the top dog.
Got it.
Logan Roy's daughter is dating him, and I'm not going to give too much away, but like that's his in. He has no bloodline to this.
Got it.
And he has like done a lot of work to climb his way up too. And him and Greg, Cousin Greg, it's just a hilarious dynamic. He's like taking him under his wing at first, and like there's a scene where they're eating this like, I don't know, like bird. It's like a delicacy, but it's like messed up, you know what I mean? And he's like, you got to cover your head to like hide the shit. He's like, this is what real rich is like. He's like, I don't even have to finish this, you know? It's like really, it's awesome. So that is like my
Showtime,
number 1,
right?
Showtime.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. Succession. New season should be dropping sometime this year, I believe. But what's your number 1?
Okay, so my number 1, love this show. There's only been 2 seasons. Mindhunters on Netflix. You watch it.
Oh God, I love it.
Such great show. Not only is because it's David Fincher. He directed some of the episodes and he also produced it. Is it David Fincher? No.
I think it is.
Can you look it up? I wanna make sure I'm
yeah,
right.
Sure.
Fight Club, right? Fight Club. What else? The Social Network. Is it? Yep, David Fincher. So, first of all, David Fincher is one of my favorite directors. I love his movies, Fight Club, and The Social Network, and other Gone Girl. No, Gone Girl, yes.
Gone Girl.
The girl with the dragon tattoo. The American version, because the original I think is Swedish or something like that. He's great. I just love his way of directing. His movies are great. So he is the producer and director of some of the episodes of Mindhunter. It's great. So Mindhunter is basically the story about how the FBI started their profiling program about serial killers. And it's based on these 2 FBI agents back in the 70s who started this program at the FBI about like searching and profiling for potential serial killers or looking for serial killers, right? Everything is started in the 70s. And the show is just great. You can tell it's David Fincher's great because of all the way it's made, the colors of the show, it's such amazing work that David Fincher did with this show, and it's very interesting. It's based. I can't say it's based on true story, but most of the interviews they do on the show, it comes from real interviews to serial killers. They mention Kemper, son of Sam. all of these
BTK,
the BTK, all of these famous serial killers from the 70s and 80s, they go to the jail, they interview them because they're trying to understand minds of the serial killers, how they work, to type of like, kind of like prevent for other serial killers to maybe just to catch them.
It was the genesis of profiling.
It's the genesis of
figured
profiling.
out a profile
that's how
of
it
serial
started.
killers.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Like,
Dude, so
it's
good.
not. It's so good that they don't even have to show gruesome scenes of like murdering or nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's just about the mind. Like what they, when they see to talk to these serial killers, they're starting to talk, and then you're starting to imagine, and it's like, dude, that's so messed up. Like,
I know.
Kemper, one of the main serial killers, he's the guy who plays Kemper. He's like awesome. You should see like the real Kemper interview, and the actor is just like, I think the actor is even more frightening. It's so good.
You know what's even more frightening is that like you can, not that you relate to them, but like you kind of understand,
right?
And you see these like repetitive patterns and
yes.
profiles. It's
yes.
like was rejected by their mother, or embarrassed,
right.
and then like father's not present or something like that, and it's like so repeatable. And you know, it was so it was really, I love that show.
And they follow the story of these two FBI agents along with other two agents, which is a doctor. I can't remember her name of the actress, but she's one of the main characters. And they also like explain how it's so hard to them to get funded by the FBI because FBI didn't believe in it. Like, we'll give you, at the beginning, they only give them the basement. You need an office? Okay. Quantico is the headquarters of the FBI. They just basically put him in the basement. Okay, you want to start your program? Go to the basement and we'll give you some money. So they also show that, like, how the politics of like trying to work and trying to put together these initiative that will help to catch serial killers, right?
And it has
still.
They interview Charles Manson.
Dude, the Charles Manson one. This guy who really plays good. Charles Manson, my God, he's so great. He's so great. And then after I watched like a making of that single scene of the interview with Charles Manson and how they explain why the investigators are sitting lower, Manson is higher than them. Why is that? The angle they take, like, because Manson is in power, right? It's so good. The same actor that played Manson in this show, he played Manson on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh,
Tarantino's.
Really?
He's the same guy.
Okay.
He's great. He's so good. He's Manson.
Yeah, I love Mindhunters. I was mad when I saw your list because I was like, dang it, I was going to use that. But especially right now, with everything that's out, like the Dahmer series right now.
Yep.
There's one about John Wayne, a documentary about John Wayne Gacy. There's one about the BTK killer. Who else? There's another one that's like, there's just I feel like they've been making them recently. Mindhunter is like the source of all of that. It is like, it really whets your palate for all of those different serial killers.
Yeah. So Fincher made what's the horoscope killer? What's the name of this?
Zodiac.
The Zodiac. He made that movie, so you can tell
he was perfect.
It's perfect. It's perfect for it, right? So he made that movie, and it's a great movie too. With the actors in this show, is the only one I remember. His name is Holt McCallany. So he was on The Fight Club and Alien 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's very good. And Fincher, you can tell like Fincher uses him for his movies.
You can't go wrong with anything right? Fincher.
Yeah,
like Fincher is just amazing.
And so watch it. They don't know. Well, Netflix say that they plan a season 3, but they don't know when because the contracts of the actors, the main actors and actress, it's just finished. Like they don't have a contract for the next season, so I'm pretty sure they're trying to figure it out, those contracts, so they can start the season 3.
It's been so long that I forgot about it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really excited for
that.
I really hope they do.
I just love the lives of these two investigators. One of them is like a family guy who's trying to raise a family. He's trying to raise this adopted son, who's also kind of
Let's
like
not give too
I'm
much
not gonna
away.
get too much, but the other guy is like a single guy, a handsome guy. He lives alone, and he's trying to also.
He's married to his work.
He's married to his work. He's very young. They don't believe in him because he's very like
unproven. He's a gumshoe, right?
Yeah, he wants to do his things, and it's so good. Watch it. They also mention Candyman, and they go and interview the guy who killed the Candyman. Candyman was a serial killer in Houston.
Yep, in the Heights.
In the Heights. His family used to have a candy shop.
Yep.
And in the Heights. So he will kind of bring kids to him.
His accomplice is in jail, and
because he killed him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And good show. Really is one of my favorite shows. I would say it's my top show.
Yeah.
Probably after Breaking Bad. But this is one of my I will watch it again. I'm going to watch it again.
Perfect.
Because it's so good.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Very good. With that, we're going to wrap it up today. Let us know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with any of our selections. We highly
recommend
or any recommendations that you have. Please feel free to comment and engage. Yep. And if you've liked the content of this video, please consider liking and sharing the video. Also subscribe to the channel by clicking the little button in the lower corner or underneath the video, and be sure to click the notification bell to stay up to date on the newest content. Thanks for watching and listening wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.